Yo, it's your boy Wes the Tech here to bring you another one of my personal favorite tech tips to help you as an artist grow in your craft. Now, today we're going to go over, should you leave Distrokid after the sale? All right. Now, if you're a recording artist who's wondering if you should leave Distrokid now that they have actually sold their company to an investment company, then this is the perfect video for you, because in this video, I'm going to go over everything that you need to know in regards to this sale and what you should do moving forward if you are an artist who is using Distrokid as your music distribution company. All right. Now, before I continue, I definitely want to let you guys know about my free music business checklist tool that's available to download off of my website right now. This is for any one of you guys who's looking into starting your own music business but don't quite know where to start. With this free tool, you actually be able to identify 3 things that you could do right away to start your own music business. So if you want to grab this free tool today, you could click on the link above. I'll also leave a link in the descriptions below. All right. So starting with the breaking news, of course, Distrokid has sold the majority of their shares to CVC Capital Partners, all right, which is, long story short, an investment company. Now, with this change, we all know that Distrokid basically owns about 30 to 40% of the distribution when it comes to independent artists. So obviously, this is big news for those of you who are independent artists and big news for those of you who actually, in fact, use Distrokid. But the real question is that now that Distrokid has sold their company to this investment company, should we panic? Should we leave the company as of now? Like, what's going to happen to us as artists? Well, there's a few things that I want to go over with you. And the first thing is let's just talk about why they possibly have sold it. Well, number one, the same reason everybody else would sell something, the money, because we have to understand that this company was sold for $2 billion. All right. It wasn't a small purchase tag. It wasn't a small fee. It was a major fee. They actually sold the company for $2 billion. And if you own the company, you might have sold it as well if somebody was offering you $2 billion for it. All right. So that's first and foremost. Another reason why, me personally, why I feel like they have actually sold the company is because of the future with AI. Right? AI concerns is a major concern moving forward when it comes to the music industry. AI has found its way deeply into the music industry. It has affected the music industry in a lot of different ways. We have AI artists that are beating out actual artists and so on and so forth. Then you have the legal things and, the suing with Suno and all of these different things. I feel like that's a big contribution to why the owners of Distrokid decided to sell, because independent music nowadays is not the same. All right. When they were first starting this company, there wasn't many competitors out there. Now there's so many distribution companies. And in lieu of all of this AI stuff, it's like, you know what? Let's just get out before things get crazy. So let's just sell the company. That's what I believe happened. Now, I will say this. Nobody knows exactly why they actually sold the company. So if you see any videos out there, the real reason why Distrokid was sold and so on and so forth, that's all speculation, because there is no documented proof of why they actually sold the company. But what we can look at is what will remain the same now that they have sold the company, and what possible changes are to come with the selling of the company. All right, so let's talk about what remains the same. Well, the first thing that remains the same, which is very important, is the leadership of the company, which means that the current president of Distrokid, will still hold his seat. He will still be president over the company. Now, for me, this is a good sign, because what that means to me is that the investment company that actually bought Distrokid isn't planning on making any changes anytime soon, because they're keeping the same president in place. If there were a company that was looking into making drastic major changes, they would have brought in a new president immediately. But with the president still being in place and the infrastructure being still in place, I don't think there's going to be any major changes in regards to how Distrokid operates anytime soon. But what we have seen in the past, at least within the last 10 years of Distrokid, is Distrokid has become more than just a music distribution company, obviously. Now they're distributing music videos, right? They're they partner with Bandzoogle for websites. They now sell merch. So they're obviously expanding to something greater than just distributing music. But like I said, because all the leaderships is still in place, right, we won't see that many changes, at least in the beginning. All right. Now, the next thing that I want to talk to you guys about, which is probably the most important thing for you guys as artists, is the royalty structure is not changing. That is one of the things that's also staying the same, which means that Distrokid is still paying out 100% of royalties to you as the artist. So that as well isn't changing, which I believe would be a big concern for most people because, you know, sometimes the choice between two distribution companies is the royalties alone, right? So the royalties will in fact be staying the same as well. And the last thing is, of course, they are not going to be taking down any artist music or anything like that as well, now that the company is being sold. Now, before I talk about the changes, I want to also make you guys aware that this stuff happens more often than people even realize. TuneCore was also sold recently, right? CD Baby was also sold recently, right? Companies get sold all the time, but a lot of times we don't know it because they are still operating the same way. They just have different ownership, right? It's kind of like football teams in a sense, or sports teams in a sense. Some teams, change, everything about the team changes with the ownerships, versus other teams, it's like, no, they've had 6 different owners, but you wouldn't even know because everything about the team still stays the same. You get what I'm saying? And that's kind of where I feel like Distrokid is right now. I feel like they just have new owners, but most of the main stuff still stays the same. All right. Now, what is to change, or what may be the first change to come? I believe the only change that I think that is coming right away, or at least soon, is probably the pricing, right? If an investment company is buying a company, they're probably going to want to look into the numbers, see what type of money they can make off of it, and they may look into actually raising the price of the subscription plans, right? So if we do see a change, that's probably going to be the first change that we're going to see, or that's going to really affect us in such a way that we may want to leave the company. And that, quite honestly, is a great reason to leave a company, but not so much, right? Because at the end of the day, what we're talking about a yearly subscription that you have to pay one time, right? I get it. I get the aspect of saving money, so on and so forth like that. But when you look at one subscription plan versus another subscription plan, and they're like a $10 difference, what are we really talking about when you're only paying it once a year? All right. That extra $10 is basically $1 extra a month to go with one plan versus the other. Now, I will admit that that Distrokid can get very expensive when you talk about all of the different add-ons, like the YouTube Content ID add-ons, the lyrics, syncing add-ons, and all the different add-ons that they have to it. So Distrokid can get quite pricey once you start talking about the add-ons. And Distrokid is probably the most expensive when you're talking about when you're incorporating all the different add-ons they have. But not every add-on is absolutely necessary, and you don't need every single add-on for every single song, right? So that's something that you really use to your discretion. But as far as the changes go, and as far as right now, as of today, there isn't any changes that's happening with Distrokid as of right now. It's still the same. So to answer the question, should you leave Distrokid because it is being sold? No, I don't believe you should leave Distrokid because they sold their company to an investment company. Will there be changes in the future that may cause you to leave? There probably will be. Or these changes might happen and you may stay the same. Either way, what Distrokid was yesterday is what it is today, and is what is probably going to be for the foreseeable future, at least in the short term. All right. So don't get into a panic. Don't jump ship and all of that just because it's being sold. Let it be for another reason. If you're unhappy with the service, you can leave because of that. If you want more out of your service, out of your features, then you can leave because of that. But if you're leaving solely for the purpose of the company being sold, that is a bad idea, and that's not enough of a reason to leave a company. All right. But I will say this to those of you who are considering leaving, and this is the case with when you leave any distribution company, all right? And maybe I should save this for another video, but I'll just mention it here. You have to be very, very careful when you're migrating from one company to another, because it may affect your royalties and other things in the long run, all right? So that's something that you want to definitely consider as well, but I'll save the details of that for another video, all right? Because this video, I just wanted to focus on whether you should leave Distrokid or not now that it's being sold, all right? So hopefully I answered that question. And before I let you guys go, I definitely want to let you guys know about my book here, The 13 Steps to Jumpstart Your Music Business. This is solely for those of you who want to leave your 9-to-5 job and do music full time, right? I've been doing music full time for years now, and I want the same thing for every single independent artist that follows my journey, that watches these videos. That's why I'm here to help you guys, right? So if you want to know those same steps that put me in that position to leave my job, right, then you could grab this ebook here. Well, I have it in ebook form, but I also have paper copies as well for those of you who may want something physical, all right? You'll find a link for that in my description below. But of course, my videos are always here. And if you have any questions in regards to anything, you could always leave comments in the comment section below, and I'll try to answer them the best I can. All right, guys? But that's pretty much it. That's what this video was about. And I'll see you guys next week. Peace.
Giants in my path, but my sling still swinging. Prayers like a choir, you can hear the angels singing. Armor of God, ain't a single piece missing. Romans 8:31, who against me they sinking. Enemies plot, but the plans unravel. Scriptures in my holster, that's the only way I travel. Devil want to smoke, but I'm up, no gravel. If I'm going through a valley, no shadow, can't battle. Tell the storm peace, and the waves obey. Faith ain't a trend, it's the roots where I stay. Christ built different, every sin.